Hey everybody, it's Adam Tracy. Wanted to talk about stablecoin regulation in the EU and the ongoing saga with Tether. And this is all, of course, brought on by MiCA, which is sort of the unified crypto regulation scheme that the EU developed amongst member states. And for stablecoins, the big revelation or requirement that was created under MiCA was to compel them to get electronic money licenses or something equivalent thereto. And the reason for that is that an EMI is really just a payments license, right? It's distinct and separate from a crypto license, but the reason is that it imposes rather stringent requirements regarding proof of reserves and handling of like customer funds in the context of like remittance and such. So for a stable coin, the big implication is that you would have to, on a regular basis, prove that you have adequate reserves to back up the token, right? And if you know or have been following Tether for any period of time, they've failed like audit after audit. Like you've had auditors quit, and all this stuff. So no one's really ever been able to prove that Tether, in fact, has the underlying dollars that would substantiate the number of tokens in circulation. And like recently, Tether had stopped issuing tokens, and prior to that, there was even a mechanism where you could, in Europe at least, like redeem the token for actual fiat, but that's long gone. And with this, it poses a major issue. Now, Circle, which sponsors USDC, the second leading stablecoin, sort of got ahead of themselves or got ahead of the game and went and got an EMI license in France. And that license, right, is good through, it passports throughout the EU. So you don't need to get state by state by state, right? You could go to like a Lithuania or someplace that is easier and less expensive and you're off and running. But no matter how big you are, the problem becomes you have to pass an audit. Basically, you have to prove reserves. And to date, Tether hasn't been able to effectively do that. Therefore, you're going to see delistings and the like, right? And the implication, right, is one, obviously, and like no one really, I guess, cared when they were just sort of doing audits just for show, and like you had an auditor quit. In my experience, and this goes from not only crypto, but even in like the securities world with like IPOs and stuff, auditors don't quit. They make way too much money to quit. They quit when there's like a big problem, right? Or the management isn't, sort of participating or being forthcoming, and there's a problem because auditors face such tremendous liability. So it's very rare for an auditor to quit, and Tether's had like 3 quit, right? So right off the bat, even before you got to MiCA, there was always questions, but USDT is so essential, right, for one, trading, because it's really the most liquid pair, and also in DeFi, right, it is massive, right? It is a massive intermediary currency. And, just from the perspective of, hey, let's commercialize crypto, and make it an actual point of like sale type cryptographic token exchange. It's great because it holds value, right? It's delivered quickly. And as a, let's say a merchant, I can take it and I don't have to worry about price fluctuations. Whereas like with Bitcoin, you have massive price fluctuations. It takes 30 minutes to confirm, blah, 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 blah. So USDT plays a really integral role as the largest stablecoin in the crypto economy, both centralized and decentralized. And then, from the basic use case, but their inability or their lack of wantonness to, comply with regulation in the EU, you obviously, you can always like run things through DeFi and all that, but it's going to really hamper liquidity unless people really sort of adopt USDC, which, has passed audits and it's licensed, and Tether's not, and so on and so forth. So that's sort of the take. And for any stable coin, whether it doesn't have to be USD backed, anything like that, in the EU, the requirement, the only requirement, it's not even a crypto license, it's that EMI license or the equivalent. And while USDC, as I mentioned, did it in France, there's much easier jurisdictions that will cost less and generally make your life a little bit easier. And getting the license, which will of course passport through the entirety of the EU. So that is my update, take, criticism, whatever you want to call it, of the stablecoin regulation in the EU. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Subscribe. Come out with more of these later this week, and I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.